शशिकांत.
गुड इव्हनिंग.
गुड इव्हनिंग.
गुड इव्हनिंग.
हाय योगा. अरे गुड इव्हनिंग बॉस.
अरे ते बॉन्ड तू मधनं का पळून जातो रे?
अरे काय माहिती का, ते काहीतरी बंद होऊन जातो माहिती का ते, आणि लगेच
काय
काही
नाही,
काम सांगतो काहीतरी घरचे.
तुझी सवय आहे तुला पळून जायची मधनं कुठे पण.
नाही रे, नाही मागच्या मीटिंगला पूर्ण होतो, मग काय झालं ते रिकनेक्ट करताना काहीतरी इश्यू झाला, मग काय झालंच नाही ते.
बरं.
आणि मग संध्याकाळी काय झालं, आता आम्हाला जावं लागतं ना, जरा बाहेर जावं लागतं थोडंसं.
बस झालं की वय, आता किती काम करतो,
नाही,
बस ना आता.
तसं नाही रे, अरे फादरला आहे ऍडमिटेड, तर संध्याकाळी जावं लागतं.
बर ठीक आहे. पण आता व्यवस्थित आहे ना तब्येत वगैरे?
हा व्यवस्थित आहे. काय आज क्लाउड टेक्नॉलॉजी आहे का?
हो आहे ना, शशिकांतचा मित्रच आहे, त्याच्या बॅचचाच आहे.
नाही चांगलं आहे. नाही बॅच खूप डायनेमिक आहे, सगळे आयटी वाले दिसतात मला.
तुझे डिसेंडेंट आहे सगळे, डायनामिक आहेत 82 पासून पुढचे.
तेच ना सगळं म्युटेशन 82 मध्ये सुरू झालं माहितीये का?
नाही ते काय माहितीये का, योगेशला स्वतःबद्दल सांगायचं म्हणून तो म्हणतोय बरं का, की 82 च्या पुढचे सगळे डायनेमिक.
हरकत नाही.
अरे योगेश 85 आहे, आम्हाला माहितीये ना, त्याच्यामुळे योगेश पण वाटतं की त्याला सगळे ऑल गुड थिंग्स स्टार्टेड आफ्टर 82 असं काहीतरी म्हणतो तो.
एक्सेप्ट 82. एक्सेप्ट 82 म्हणलं.
एक्सेप्ट 82 मी सांगितलं तुला. आमच्या नंतर रे, आम्ही आमचं कधीच रेफरन्स घेत नाही माहितीये का.
बर.
अजून काय?
शशी प्रकाश, आवाज येतो?
हाय प्रकाश, हाऊ आर यू? गुड.
प्रकाश जाधव.
हा प्रकाश जाधव.
Yes, nice. Hey, who is he?
अक्षय जाधव. गुड इव्हनिंग सर.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Sir,
Good evening, sir.
गुड इव्हनिंग मैसळे सर.
Hi, good evening. Good evening, folks. Wonderful initiative. Keep it up.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
I want to hear our young technocrats.
Yes.
Yeah, he's Prakash is this young technocrat. Yeah.
I know.
Sir, same here.
There's a passion. Right?
Hello.
Hi, Akshay.
Good evening.
Hi.
Hello, sir. Good evening, sir. Hello.
Good evening.
अक्षय व्यायाम वगैरे चालू आहे ना?
हो सर, चालू आहे.
ओके.
आणि
हाय श्रीकांत.
आणि दीक्षित डाएट पण चालू आहे.
ओके, आलाय ना.
योगा तुझ्याला काय, तो काय बॉक्सिंग रिंग मध्ये चाललाय, ऑल द बेस्ट म्हणतोस त्याला.
अरे हो, जरा हळू.
Shashikant, just interruption in between. Some protocols that we need to follow. Now it's coming to close to 5:30.
Right.
While the speakers are speaking, I request everyone to be on mute. Sometime accidentally people get to do the mute on. So ensure that your mic is mute. Ensure that if your video is on, see that there is enough light on your face so you are visible clearly. Whenever you rejoin, sometimes there is a connection issue, so wait for a minute or two. You will be able to connect back, because this Zoom has that 45 minutes of reboot option. Rather, it's after 40 or 45 minutes it gets rebooted automatically, so bear with us for that. And I think Shashikant should start introduction in a minute or two, so it will be 5:32 or so, and so we can start the session at 5:35. In the meantime, I have a small announcement. Tomorrow also we have one of the very good subjects called will, nomination and legal hire. Will is something called in Marathi Mrityu Patra, not a Mrityu Patra, but it is a Ichha Patra, which is also an equally important topic, a little different topic, which we will be covering tomorrow by a very young Ajinkan of 2002 batch. So please join in large number, because it's one of the important topics generally we neglect. Okay, so this just was an announcement. Over to Shashi for introduction of the speakers, and obviously by the time Mini will join and we can start the session.
Thank you, Yogesh. Actually, the reason behind, behind starting this meeting, okay, instead of webinar, was very clear, and there was a purpose behind it. Because if it would have been webinar, it would have been purely professional delivery of subject. Okay, but then I thought, most of us want to have a personal touch. Okay, and I should feel that, yes, I'm seeing Maisare sir personally. Okay, I'm like say hearing him personally. Okay, so let's say there should be personal touch. Okay, there should be some, let's say, personal connect with each other, because being an Ajinkyan, okay, we should have that feeling. Okay, we should have that, like say, connect. So instead of webinar, okay, we started with Zoom meeting, so that, like say, people should get connected and they should have that bonding. So I would request everyone, okay, whenever some speaker is delivering his session, like say, everyone should mute their microphone, okay, as well as, if possible, okay, if you could even mute your video, because, like say, there would be, like say, consumption of bandwidth, okay, in video, and even in audio. So I request you to follow this, so that, like say, there won't be any disturbances, right? So today we have a first speaker. His name is Prakash Jadhav, and hello, am I audible? Hello. Yeah,
Yes,
am I
you are
audible?
audible.
Yeah,
Yes,
thank
you
you.
are audible.
Very much.
Yes.
Yeah. So he has done his Bachelor of Engineering, and since 1998 he's working with L&T Infotech as an IT consultant, and he's going to deliver something, let's say, which is very important for us to know about the cloud technology in our day-to-day activity or day-to-day life. So we have Ajinkyan from 1992 batch, Mr. Prakash Jadhav. Prakash, you can share your experience, and then you can start the session. Over to you, Prakash. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Shashikant. Meantime, if you can give me a presenter, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So once again, good evening, everybody. Myself, Prakash Jadhav, passed out 1992. Did my engineering in electronics engineering from Satara itself, that is ABP College of Engineering. And since 1998, I'm with L&T Infotech, and in current capacity as a cloud architect. Okay, so I know this, Shashi, still I don't have a presenter, right? Shashikant.
Yeah.
If you can give me a presenter, right? I just want to present something on screen.
You can do it through sharing.
It says host disable participant screening.
Sharing
Okay. So while Shashikant give me a presenter,
Yeah,
right? So
it is available now.
okay. Yes. So just want to make sure that everybody sees my screen. Okay. So cloud computing technology is relatively new, and when I say relatively new, maybe a couple of years it is in existence, and for last couple of years we are actually seeing it is being used, or is being usage has gone up. So I thought I will put a structure to it. When I say structure to it, whatever first things which comes to my mind, I have put it. Okay. As a core part of this course, what I would do is that I'll go through these points. Okay. And post going through these points, I would like to take questions. And now, before even the cloud computing, before even we start, okay. While there is a lot of abundant material available on internet, okay, and while anyone can go and read it, a lot of information is available. But then question comes is that what is relevant to me when I say me as an individual, if I'm into every walk of life. I as an individual, what is the impact on me, or what is that I can use it for? Okay. The simplest example could be nowadays you're uploading your photos to a Google Drive or any other place. It is nothing but a cloud or a cloud computing or a cloud storage where you are availing that facility. So for example, if you the first thing you do in the morning, if you go and open the moneycontrol.com app or any other news app, so all those apps are predominantly hosted on cloud, because depending on the event or depending on the situation, the usage of these applications goes up and down drastically. So if you are watching a cricket match or Hotstar or anything, so those kind of applications really need a considerable amount of resources which needs to be spinned off immediately on urgent basis or those kind of stuff. And that's where the cloud computing or cloud technology comes into picture. So what if I had to really put it in a very crisp description, what is a cloud? I mean, cloud is nothing but it's a different type of resources. When I say resources, be it a network, hardware, storage services. Now you have all these services. If right now at your home, so we are using our internet, we are using our computer or a desktop or a laptop or a phone, and storage and plus associated services. When I say services, now Zoom is one of the service which we all are hosting, which is hosted service which you all are using. Okay. Storage, I just spoke about the Google Drive where you are storing your photos or anything. Now, so all these services which are available in your house at this point of time, but same set of services can be hosted into a virtual environment. Now, this virtual environment can be anywhere in any part of the world. So probably for us, wherever staying, the nearest data center could be a few kilometers away, or it could be thousands of kilometers away from your place. Yes, of course, the distance between you and your data center, wherever their cloud services are hosted, based on the distance, of course, the services or the speed and all those things does matter in this case. So for example, Amazon or Microsoft or Google, most of them have cloud hosted either in Mumbai, Delhi or Chennai. So typically you end up using the services which are hosted, which are very near to you. Okay. And as I was just talking about that, the usage of all these services, where network, hardware, storage services, when you do it from a virtual or remote world, is nothing but in cloud computing. So I don't want to get into the definitions, because you will find all these definitions on Google or anything. So now question comes, what is that differently I'm going to talk about? Okay. In spite, when you have a lot of information available. So let's cover the things which you would generally not found the information. Okay. And as I was mentioning that, okay, three major players, Amazon, Microsoft, Google, but apart from that, there are a lot of other players, be it IBM or Oracle, or for that matter, everybody has their own set of clouds which are hosted. But typically we think of almost majorly Amazon, Microsoft, Google. So I was just reading before coming to the section, and there are close to 168 different small organizations within India who are hosting cloud, and we can even avail their services also. So there are so many service providers which are available and which can meet your requirements if you want to really make a use of cloud services. Now, what is that cloud offers to me? When I say what I need. So for example, in the traditional world, I mean, if you go and buy any database software, be it Oracle or anything, then you need an infrastructure to host it. You need an operating system to host it. You need a software to install it and all those things. So these cloud providers offers you at a various layer, that is infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, or a software as a service. And there's a new term which is coined as a communication as a service. Now, communication service is something which is relatively new, or we generally don't hear. But these are the different business model which is coming up. So for example, telecom industry. For them, infrastructure, platform, software, all these are required. But now as a telecom industry, they wanted to really have a communication as a service which is hosted. Okay, so these are the different models which even the cloud computing service providers are also coming up. Now, based on individual's requirement, you can avail infrastructure or a platform or a software as a service for you. So for example, any small scale or a medium scale business owner wanted to have a ERP software for that matter, and it doesn't want to he or she doesn't want to invest anything, not much into the infrastructure and all those things. They can very well go and avail the software as a service platform. Okay, so if I can take a bigger names like be it, let's say Salesforce.com. Okay, so those are the software as a service which are available, which anyone can register it and start using it immediately. So the provisioning time for the cloud services or a cloud computing cloud this thing is really small. So it hardly takes around 5 to 7 minutes to provision a machine for you people, and then it is really very cheap. When I say cheap, you just go and fill in their forms, put in the required details, and then the service provider will be able to provision a machine or a server for you in less than 5 to 7 minutes of time. And then of course you can add your required security services around it, and those will be provisioned in no time. Now, with all this a great facility, I mean, of course, it comes with cost, no doubt about it. So, I'm sorry. So, when you're talking, considering all these various types of services, which I just gave example of software as a service and communication as a service, but let's say somebody is interested only that, okay, just give me a plain infrastructure and let me build everything on my own. So, in that case, and this is very important, what one needs to choose, whether I want to choose infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, or a software as a service. Now, this is really, I'm not saying anyone has a dilemma about this, but it all depends on what you want or how much you want to tie yourself down to one service provider. So for example, anyone wants to really have a flexibility to move between cloud service providers in future. Let's say, for example, today you are availing Amazon, but you don't want to really use the Amazon specific services. So you may just go ahead and provision infrastructure of Amazon and then build your own set of applications. Down the line, if you don't like Amazon, or if somebody else has offered a little bit of better rates or better quality, then you can very easily migrate from one platform to other platform. Now, there are a lot of service providers which are coming and saying that, okay, you don't need to worry about who is your service provider. We'll build a wrapper or a layer around it, okay, so that the service provider is whether it's Amazon, Microsoft, Google, it is immaterial for the consumer. So that kind of business model is also coming up. Now, the major service providers may not like it, and they would want you to use more and more their software as a service so that you are tied to a single provider. But we as a consumer, we have to decide whether you really want to go for infrastructure, platform, or a software as a service. Now, software as a service might give you a little bit of more advantages, because you don't have to really worry about anything. Everything is in the background, is managed by the service provider. But then at the end of the day, you are tied to a service provider, and it becomes really a complex process to migrate or move away from one service provider to other service providers. So you have to strike a balance between your software as a service or infrastructure as a service based on individual's requirement. Now, moving to our next point. So we have been seeing the different types of clouds. So we have a private cloud, public, hybrid, or community clouds. So far we have been mostly individuals have been using public cloud, okay, and the private clouds which are primarily hosted by either by their own set of private clouds. Now, certain organizations may use private plus public cloud, and they call it as a hybrid cloud, which depending on their requirements, they would split their applications or systems between private and public depending on the sensitivity. And when we're talking about community, these are the freely available cloud service providers, which really helps you to really test out your. So these cloud service providers are predominantly very cheap or a free service providers which really want to make it as a community service, and offer they offer these services. What me in the I being in the industry, I have seen mostly use of a public or a private cloud. And again, of course, for a defense, they have been differently, defense or a government organization, they have been hosting a different set of clouds. But we predominantly end up using private or a public cloud depending on the individual's requirement. Now, the most important part is the pricing. I mean, how you are being charged. So when you say that, everybody says that if you're moving to a cloud, it will be really cheaper, but not necessarily. It doesn't work in every case. So there are cases which I have seen that people have started their cloud migration projects and they realize that, okay, this is not really going to be a price effective. So they have moved back to their traditional data centers or traditional data centers. So not every case it is going to be useful. Now, no matter what, who say, whatever has been published about pricing, but what I have experienced so far is this pricing are really in favor of providers, and very rarely it becomes a favorable for the consumers, because they have done a billions of dollars investment and they really want to recover it. So 2 years back, I was going through one of the training session, and Google has, I mean, this is again April 2016 or 17 numbers. Google has invested close to $29 billion in their cloud computing space. So that's the amount of investment which has gone, and one day they have to recover this money. So pricing, whichever so far we have seen, that is always end up always in favor of a providers and very rarely in favor of the consumers. So I have personally seen that fixed pricing works for the large organizations. When I say large organizations, they would pre-purchase the compute capacity for, let's say, next 3 years or so, wherein they will get it at very rarely low prices. But there are certain set of applications which needs a dynamic pricing. When I say dynamic pricing, so let's take applications like ndtv.com or moneycontrol.com. So their usage of those applications in a predefined window is really high. So at that point of time, they really need a larger, bigger capacity to fulfill the requirement. So they would say that, okay, between 8 a.m. to 4 a.m., 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., I would need a really heavy bandwidth or heavy resources, but after that, I really don't need. So that's where the dynamic pricing comes into picture, and they are being priced separately. But then there will be certain cases where you will have to have, when I say pay per use, you really don't know at what point of time you would need resources. And in that case, you just say that, okay, whenever I need resources, I will invoke the services, I'll invoke the machines, and I'll be charged based on that, whatever a rate which is being offered. Apart from this, there is something called as, which I have not exercised it, but something called as spot pricing. When I say spot pricing, it is like gambling, I would say. Gambling may not be the right word, but you know that you need a capacity, and spot pricing is like you say that you need a 10 servers of, let's say, X capacity, and you are charged, let's say, for $10. What it essentially does is that if those services are Shashikant, did you mute me or what? Hello?
We can hear you. We can.
Okay, that's right. So spot pricing is something like wherein you bid for that capacity, okay, for that whatever money you are this thing. If those services or this compute is available, it will be offered to you. But if somebody else is paying little more for that capacity, it will be taken out and given to that. Now it happens transparent to you. So it's like really bidding for a low money, and you can decide your own pricing. So that, let's say, you have a workload to be done over a weekend or something like that, and then you can say that, okay, on a weekend I would like to purchase or need this capacity at this price, and whenever that price or those capacities are available, you will be offered that capacity. Now the downside of that spot pricing or fixing is that there are chances that you may not get capacity during that window whenever you want. So that type of gambling, I shouldn't, again, I'm saying gambling is not really right word, but that kind of models are also available if you're really price sensitive for that matter. I know I have another 9 minutes only. So I just give a couple of examples where we have seen that whatever mobile applications which you are using, be it that's Amazon app or any other app, mostly these kind of apps are hosted onto cloud, wherein the consumption pattern or the usage pattern is not really known, and that's where your infinite capacity of the cloud comes into picture. So if you are planning to use such kind of applications, if you are building, I mean, a lot of our Ajinkyan's have the IT firms and they have been building such type of mobile apps, and I'm sure they must have already hosted these kind of apps onto the cloud platforms, where based on your consumption, based on your capacity needs, it can go up and down. I had given you example of pre-installed, pre-configured software. You can use it anywhere, like Salesforce.com. Really a good application which I'm not sure how many of us are using, but that's one of the best example where software as a service can be used from the cloud platforms. Now, security is something which is really crucial. There are a lot of security measures which even the service provider takes care of it, and we as a consumers, we also need to take care of our own security and all those things. But it is important that one needs to be really aware of the security measures which are offered. I mean, be it if I had to use a layman's term, so there's a lot of things, security keys or the encryption keys which are available. Service providers do offer various types of encryption. Then there is a combination of key encryption. You can have your own set of keys along with the service provider's keys to make sure that even by all means, even the service provider cannot access your data, because you're also holding certain set of keys with you, so that when the service providers and your keys matches, then only data is visible to you, and nobody else can really have access to that data. So the latest example, the application which we are using, Zoom. You must have heard that the keys of the encryption for Zoom were some time ago they were hosted in China. The servers which are hosted in China, and I think Chinese government has a rule that any information which is hosted in China is government can take at any point in time. So those keys, whatever record, whichever we're doing, if it is made available to Zoom, and if particular key which we are using, if it is really hosted in China, then probably somebody Chinese agency can decrypt the things and see it whenever they want. So that's just a small example of security which I just want to give about. Now coming back to India, what is that our government is doing, or which is that agency which is really is defining the guidelines or doing? So we call it as a MITI guidelines, Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology. So this particular ministry really defines the guidelines, the roadmap, or the various cloud providers who are entitled or who are panel to use the Microsoft is one of the service provider which is certified by the MITI organization, and from our organization we are working on a project for Ministry of Statistics, and that particular platform on Microsoft. That particular project is hosted on Microsoft platform. At the same time, government also has an own they call it Meghraj Cloud Initiative. So anybody wants to really leverage, there's the cloud initiative which is taken by government, and we can really leverage that for all these things. And I just give example of there are close to 168 different small cloud service providers across India, which definitely one can leverage. Now, I think with the 5 minutes remaining, what I have been doing so far is that I have been part of a couple of projects wherein many of the systems are migrated from on-premises system to cloud, It's a really long journey. If you're moving your a decent size organization platform to be moved from on-premise to cloud, it might take anywhere between 6 months to 12 months. And I have seen a lot of people, while they are migrating from their on-premise to cloud, they have taking the advantage of really transforming it to a next level. So these are the some of the initiatives which a lot of organizations have taken globally. In India, we have not seen much, but soon there'll be a lot of organizations. They'll be slowly moving. If not sensitive, at least the tier 2, tier 3 applications, they'll be slowly moving to the cloud. I know I just have 4 more minutes. If anyone any questions, I'll be happy to
Ask
answer. Please.
Sure. Thank you. My name is Yogesh. My question was related to personal privacy and security. So many mobile devices these days, out solutions like my MI phones come up with MI Cloud option. Most of the phones have Google Cloud inbuilt in it. Microsoft has also come up with Microsoft Cloud options, and most of these options are free of cost. Okay, so users usually by default they the gallery items and everything is automatically saved on these cloud platforms. So my question is how secure it is concerned with family pictures or sensitive documents, maybe on personal basis. How secure is it to store on these cloud platforms?
So from a security standpoint of view, as I was just mentioning, the only and only if you subscribe to their services wherein you are also holding certain keys with you, and again there are different options to secure your this thing. Simply relying on the security measures provided by the cloud service provider, okay, in my opinion they are not really secured. I mean, of course Apple is little different in that case, but I have personally seen certain instances wherein, forget about ARC photos or anything, I have personally seen in certain conference calls that Amazon service provider was able to see the organization's data when they were really doing some kind of debugging exercise between these things. So to my knowledge, it is really not secured unless you as an individual holding certain security keys with you. Other than that, I don't see really that information is really secured with those service providers.
Prakash,
I see. Thank
I have
you.
one question.
This question.
Prakash,
Thank
I have
you.
one question.
Sorry, I have a. My question is in continuation of what you answered, Prakash sir. Second thing is, most of people usually prefer Google Cloud, be it Gmail, be it cloud services, on their personal phones. And Google already has this policy wherein if the data goes in or out of US boundaries, they share with security services and NSA. The data is automatically shared. And even if we are staying in India and our data is on Indian cloud-based services, these clouds keep on moving automatically. That's what I have heard. So data keeps on moving from one geography to the other geography and everything. So in that sense, are you saying that someone is already viewing our data and people already have lost their privacy?
So when I say, okay, for Google, I mean, they have already set up. So all your Google Drives and whatever we have seen, okay. So we never know at what point of which zone, which area they have been hosting that data, okay. So when in that case, somebody definitely they have access to that information whenever they want. They can really go and open that and look at that information. No matter what Google says or no matter what Amazon says, but they have ability to really view that data. That's
okay. Thank you.
That's my experience so far. I have seen.
Prakash, I have one question with this cloud competition. Although these big companies or big short companies generally promise as per your structure of buying high availability and security trust, okay. But most of the time we see they breaching this contract. Sometimes the availability is not there, even if I have hired the services, or even we are not confident about the security of my data. Even you could take an example of Facebook or so, the information is leaked out or so. So what are the territorial limitations of if you want to sue them, or maybe if you want to fight against them? Does it have any international law board where you can put in your cases, or because we haven't heard any case as such? This was the company offering had a promise such of services, and they have a breach of contract and they have been fined. Other than financials, only a financial punishments are being seen, but there is no any ad hoc or a little severe message that can be passed on. If you do those things, you are taken for a task.
So, I think so far whatever I have seen, I mean, globally I have seen is that most of these things works in a favor of providers. Okay, and as you rightly mentioned, people have seen only the financial penalties which have been imposed on this organization, nothing else. So, I think the agencies like government mighty guidelines, no matter what mighty guidelines have been put in place, my recommendation would be that anything like Meghraj Cloud initiatives. So these are the government agencies which are hosting these things, and if you really want to keep your data secured and safe, okay, and not get into litigations, so probably we have to use these service providers where you will be heard at least. I don't think so if you're using Amazon or Microsoft or Google, and if there is any litigation or anything, I'm not sure whether of course if you go to the right platform, right agency, you'll be heard. But if you really want at least in Indian scenarios, if you use the Meghraj Cloud initiatives, those things, I'm sure you'll be heard on a right platform or right place. But so far, as you rightly mentioned, there's no proper place or panel or those things which are available for us to really stand up and fight for these things. And actually, it is very difficult to prove these things.
Hi Prakash, this is Nilesh. Can I ask you a question?
Please.
Yeah, nowadays most of the machines which are on IoT, they are linking it to the cloud. So how do they do it actually?
Sorry, I couldn't get your question clearly. IoT machines?
IoT, most of the machines which are in the field, or equipments
Okay.
which are in the field, which are generally connected in the cloud. So do they have their own server, or do they link it with one of these Amazon, Google servers, or these 138 servers which are listed in the country? What exactly, which operations do they follow generally?
Okay, so I'll give the example of L&T ECC, it is Engineering and Construction Company. So I didn't work on that project, but couple of my colleagues have worked. So we have connected close to 35,000 odd devices across India. And these devices, it could be your Pokelane, or could be your JCB, or all those kind. I'm just taking few examples.
Correct, exactly.
And some could be pumps or water pumps or all those things. So these devices, majority of places, they have a wireless transmitters, okay, which will transmit the data, and then at every nodal point, there will be a receiving station which receives the data, and then there will be a locally hosted a small machine or compute will be hosted, and from there it will be moved to a nearest cloud endpoint. So to answer your question, majority of places, these sensors with a transmission capability are being used. Now,
so do they send it directly to the server? Do they send it directly?
Not directly to the cloud, not directly to the cloud. So what I have seen is that there will be a machine or something which will be hosted at a plant level, or I'm taking example of plant because this type of planning we are doing it for Hindalco and all those things. So for all the connected devices within that factory or anything, which has either they have a transmission capability or could be connected on network, and it will be done at a plant level, and from where there it will be pushed to a cloud endpoint or something like that.
Okay, thanks.
So Prakash, this is Ashish. I have a question. Like you said, where the companies where they cannot plan their usage well in advance, they generally go for cloud computing, right? Like Amazon or so what is other criteria in which the company should really think of going for cloud computing? Other that,
So, for example, new business or not new business model. So let's say you're planning to venture into, I'm just taking example of fashion designing. I'm just taking one hypothetical example. So for your business, you really want to have a digital marketing platform. Okay.
okay,
You yourself are not sure how long whatever business wherever ventured into, you're not sure whether it is going to sustain, but you still need a digital marketing platform. So that would be an ideal situation, that you yourself doesn't have visibility that how long you're going to be in this business. If this business is successful, you're going to continue or you're going to stop. So cloud computing or the cloud service providers can provision your required services, platforms, everything for you till you need it. So for example, pay per use. So now you just want to use it for 3 months or 6 months, test it out. After that, you just want to close it. That's the good place for really going for the cloud.
okay,
So a lot of things I have seen on the project where I'm working on. So customer has bought a capacity for next 3 years, and that's where they got the entire capacity. I mean, if I do it for a pay per use, I would, let's say, have spent $100 3 years, but same fixed capacity, I'll get it for only 40, only get a 40% or so. So there is
okay.
a huge difference between a fixed pricing and the pay per use pricing. So depending on your requirements, you can choose which pricing you
Yeah,
want.
basically we will have to do a cost benefit analysis and then we'll have to decide, right?
Yes, yeah. But of course, cost benefit analysis is there, but then based on individual's requirement, that okay, I know I'm going to be, you already have existing into, you already have a running business, and you are sure that you need this capacity for next 3 years, you might as well go for a fixed pricing and get it at a much cheaper price for that.
Okay.
Prakash, there is
Already
let's say
8
one
minutes over.
question.
Yeah.
Hello. Yeah, there is one question on the chat box from Apurva Deshmukh. Okay, so if you can check it out, or I'll read it for you. Okay, he's asking you that what do you think about DA bank? They are moving and enrolling common man like MLM and promoting earning to them.
Sorry, Shashi, I'm not able to hear you clearly.
Can you read it from the chat box then? First query.
I'll read it for you.
Yeah.
I'll read it. What do you think about DA Bank? They are moving and enrolling common man like MLM and promoting earning through them. That's the question.
Sorry, I couldn't get it. Let me read that question. I don't know where do I read chat? Okay, chat. So
Go to participants and chats.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then that question was from
Apurva Deshmukh.
Okay.
Very first chat.
So to be honest, I'm not able to comprehend that, and I'm not able. So maybe I'll come back to yours separately.
Yeah.
The recording question doesn't seem to be related to this.
Shashikant, what is the time left for restarting of the session?
10 minutes. 10 more minutes.
Okay, so we can have some more questions. Has Harshadip joined, or we should continue with question answers?
We should continue with questions. Okay, let's say not 10 minutes.
Prakash, I have one question. What next after cloud computing?
After cloud computing, what next?
Fog.
Even I have not thought to. Even I have not thought about it.
I just want to contribute something.
Yeah.
It's like it says his speeds. We had him some time back. mainframe, but though with a very powerful intellectual systems and very powerful clients as well. So is as good as we may have a round loop again, going back to mainframe, so with a high capacity, or to a very new thing that we may go back to a normal computing as well. We don't know if the security and other things comes into picture.
Yeah, so cloud adoption, I would say it is being forced on us. I mean, whether we need it or not,
Yeah,
it is the necessity is created for us to adopt it. I mean, and I have seen at least I'm trying to recollect the name of customers. They have started their cloud journey and they have actually turned back, and they're still on traditional data warehouses. As for traditional data centers, they have came back to because of security reasons and all those things.
It is like something like earlier days we had everything insourcing, then outsourcing started coming into picture, and again people are going back to insourcing. Like ERP, like they had their in-house team, then it was outsourced. Then you had that BPOs and KPOs and all those things, and again now things are coming back to the all these security points or maybe integrity points, availability points. Difficult to fight these organizations. I think people are coming back to their in-house service providing facilities also. Something could be that, though maybe in a large scale, but it would be back to your in-houses, I think.
Yeah, I mean, this organization like Amazon, Microsoft, Google, they have pumped in so much of money into this technology. So by all means, they will recover this money. And we don't know at what level. So I think if you take a latest example of Microsoft and Amazon. So it was I think almost $1 billion deal.
Shashikant,
is
just
any Indian company venturing?
Shashikant,
yes.
Sorry, somebody's asking.
Yeah, just a minute. Just a whole minute. Just a minute. We have a second speaker who is an IS officer, and he has other meeting at 6. So we should be able to give him a small, just because it is his time frame coming up, because he's from 6 to 6:30, and then he has to go back to the other important meeting further. So I would have a very small I think I'm very sorry to bother you all people in between, but I think I will just introduce Harshdeep Kamble in a brief, and then I'll pass it on to him, and again we will come back to Prakash for other question answers. I'll now give a very two-liner introduction of Dr. Harshdeep Kamble, 1987 batch, Tilak House. He has always been a rule creator also. That way, small in height, but a very good basketball player. He requires no introduction. Actually, the department he has worked, he has made his impact, and he is a very dashing officer, an IS. I will not into much more because he really doesn't require an introduction. People know him. Working is did for the government and man. This is take much more time. I'll check to start between. So I go further, please.
Harshdeep.
Yeah, am I audible?
Yes.
Yes. So actually, I was also listening to the very nice session on cloud computing, and that is that.
Welcome.
Yeah, yes. Hi everybody. Now I am running short of time because I have another visit to attend. Yeah, I have another program to attend. So
doesn't matter.
I'll be speaking little fast.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, I'll be speaking little fast. But I would like to thank you for for such a big exchange various topics, and then thoughts on that. I was just saying that the earlier session was really fantastic, and that is one area which we should look at after this post-COVID. Before starting my session, actually it was Sanjay Gupta who was pestering me like I need to join this And yes, uh, we are also on webinar nowadays. So it is with the industries, and there are so many problems going on with COVID, and because Maharashtra that way is one of the state which is badly affected by Corona, and then now we have just started the industries. So there are a lot of issues that are coming up, and then we are trying to sort it out. Having said that, now says that this COVID is going to cause, drastic reduction of the GDP of every country. There would be not many countries who would have a negative growth. India, fortunately, we may just cross zero, So it may be like 0.5, 1. That what drives India's economy. Of course, industrial sector, service sector, these are two things which drive India's economy, but there is one more point, a very important sector which drives India's economy. So that is agriculture sector. When, like now we have the agriculture season, the season would be on, and the good news is that this time there are going to be good monsoons. So monsoons, when there is good product, there is good agriculture activity, the rural economy, and all the labor force that is also engaged in agriculture activities. So there is some push by this good agriculture. So that is one good news, I would say. Second good news which I find is, although there is always a talk about this recession that is going to happen throughout the world, but one good thing about is we have seen that Reliance Jio, it got an investment of more than $7 to $8 billion till now. So this is also a very, very good news. What I want to make is that after this week, there would be sectors which would take off very well. Of course, there would be some hampering of automobile would be badly affected. Then housing sector would also be affected. But there are some sectors which pick up quite well. And this, I was mentioning that earlier session was very good because this cloud computing would also be positively affected. Positively affected means that there would be a lot of services around cloud computing which are definitely going to grow. So having said that, let me come back to actually the topic is a little bigger, and even cloud computing is little bigger. So it requires around 1 hour for me and 1 hour also for Prakash. So I will be touching some of the positives which would come after this COVID. Let me start. I started with positive that monsoon is going to be good. Then I started with Jio. Now let us start what people are talking about. What they're talking about, that auto sector is going to be badly affected. Yes, we agree that it is going to be affected, but in auto sector, there would be different kind of opportunities that would come. I will just give you an example. That now I am in Mumbai now, and I see a lot of people, before COVID, a lot of people come to Mantralaya or to this South Mumbai through local trains, through buses, best buses. Now, because of this COVID, not many people would like to travel by local trains. Not many people would like to travel by buses. Not many people would like to send their family in a taxi. So what would then happen? The two-wheelers, sale of two-wheelers may not fall that much as it is expected, as it is shown to be. That is what I can guess about. The small cars, I would not like to send my family in a taxi now. So what I'll do is I'll purchase a small car. The richer segment may not pick up that well, but I think these kind of realignment of the business models will have to be done, and then such kind of a strategies we will have to put forward so that, in this crisis also, there are some positives which we'll have to see, and we'll have to realign our businesses accordingly. Now, again, talking about auto sector, so there would be e-cars that government is going to push now. Okay, so when we are thinking about if some of you are interested in entrepreneurship, so what is the sector that we should look at? Then you should look at this MSME, small units, which would manufacture parts for the electric vehicles, parts for the two-wheelers, part for the smaller segment of the cars. Now there is another big sector, that is steel sector. So steel sector is also hampered. But in such kind of a cases, if you remember, if you take 2008 and 2009 economic crisis, then also for the 2008-2009, China and India economy was performing better than other. There was an economic crisis there at that time. So China and India were, but the next year after that, it boomed in both the countries. So in India also, it is going to boom a year after than other countries. Now there are 2-3 explanations for this. First, there is going to be a global realignment of these industries. So it may be manufacturing industries, it may be service sectors. So there is going to be a realignment. So now let us talk about how this global effect is going to be there after this post-COVID. When I say realignment, so now everybody is looking at other country rather than only China. So they are thinking about how do they set up their other units so that supply chains, logistics are not disrupted, just as it happened this time. So they would move some of the manufacturing segments of theirs from China. China is a heavily manufacturing segment country. So then where do they go next? India is a country where they would look it for. And Indian government, also the state governments, various state governments are now coming out with various policies that would attract these FDIs, foreign direct investments. So like Japan has come out with their own package that their companies should move out of China. So similarly, various countries, various MNCs, they are thinking on these lines to move out from China. They may not be moving out all the manufacturing segment units of theirs, but slowly and slowly they would diversify. They will go to other countries and set up their manufacturing base there so as to ensure that their supply chains are not broken. And that is one thing which we should look at. I'm talking about every manufacturing sector. To give you an example, how our country is trying to attract others, just to give an example, I'll give you an example of pharma. I told you about auto. I'll give you an example of pharma. So pharma industry, what happens? All the chemicals those are required for manufacturing of the medicines, those are being manufactured in China. Chemicals. So chemical industry has moved, even from India, it has moved to China. Now government has come out with a policy of setting up pharmaceutical parks, wherein you can have this chemical industry also, revival of chemical industry, and then also setting up the manufacturing here only. So, and government of India is giving some kind of a push to this. It will take 2-3 years of a time, but now this is the business which we should look at. Another sector which I would say is agriculture sector. Agriculture insecticides, agriculture pesticides, we get it a lot from China. So that is another sector which we should look at. We manufacture on our own, and some guidelines are going to be out very soon for that. Very important sector previously talking about is IT sector. So IT sector, cloud computing is one of the IT sector is going to get a boom. Now we are saying that IT companies may, they will ask people to work only new norm now, but even then, most of the countries would like to now go for, and they are already moving for, data analysis. So this data analysis requires data centers. Now all the manufacturing segment would like to use artificial intelligence in manufacturing processes. This artificial intelligence is based on data. So this data mining, I tell you that India that put to become a hub for whole of the world of data centers. Now, why? Because we have such a huge population. The data itself is being manufactured in our country at a huge scale. So we are one of the largest WhatsApp users. When we swipe our credit card, then also data is generated for everything. Data is generated and that needs to be analyzed. This can be done if you have a very big data center. So Government of Maharashtra, I had designed the policy for new policy for Government of Maharashtra, new industrial policy for Government of Maharashtra. There I have specifically mentioned and I specifically said that we need to have a sub policy which will make Mumbai as a data center hub of the world. So we are working on it and it would be out after this COVID is over. So what does it mean? The internet cables, undersea internet cables, they land in Mumbai, in Navi Mumbai. So that is the area we have identified for this data center parks. Very huge data center parks would come in that area. And there would be all these big companies, including Google, including Microsoft and everybody, they would come there. Now government is also thinking of putting a condition that should come. So once that comes, you know, there would be a kind of a boom for data centers in India and particularly in Mumbai. And then there would be data mining, there would be, you know, artificial intelligence, there would be, now it will have cloud computing also. Then there would be the issues about cyber security as well. So this IT sector will have certainly some kind of a boom in this post-COVID area. So post-COVID time period. This is one which we should look at. Another and very important, of course, is the health sector, because then this sanitizers, making of sanitizers and all these things is going to boom like anything. It would become a norm, new norm. We are going to ask all industries to maintain it, maintain sanitizers, this mask facilities everywhere in the industry. So that is going to be a compulsory for at least 1-2 years, and then it becomes kind of a habit for everybody to keep it. And so this is one sector which we should look at. It's not so difficult to manufacture sanitizer, you know, solutions. Then another thing which India and particularly Maharashtra can look at is everybody would like to, you know, everybody would like to have good food, healthy food. So that is one area which we should look at. Agro processing would become quite, you know, it would be one of the most growing sector. Anything that could be frozen, anything that could be processed, and moreover, if it is kind of organic, so that is the one sector where we have a lot of scope actually. In Maharashtra also, we have a lot of scope for this agro processing. And we have also come out with a policy wherein somebody sets up his manufacturing unit in agro processing sector, he gets financial benefits of 20% more than the other sectors. So that is already in place. So we should take advantage of this. And let me tell you that when we talk about the agro processing, we have done an MOU with UAE. They require around 3,000 to 4,000 acres of land. What is their plan? Their plan is they would like to set up the whole agriculture setup wherein they can get vegetable, they can grow vegetable, they can process it, and they would transport it from India to UAE, India to Dubai, because their requirement is huge and they feel they are going to invest somewhere around 5,000 crores into this. So when they can think of, we should also think of having our small businesses based on these kind of models. Another thing that would come up very well is now, since this is a Zoom app, so we are able to communicate with each other like we are sitting at our homes, and it's very easy to communicate with each other. So very important would be home delivery. Now home delivery of such kind of services, Zoom based services, or home tuitions, home tuition classes where you get, you know, everything like your kids also, they get home tuitions. And then another thing is home entertainment, home animated movies. So this is going to be on rise. Similarly, going ahead with this kind of a technology, now we have 4G with us. 5G is going to come soon. So there would be a tremendous increase in the speed of the mobile internet. So what does it mean? It means that now we are able to see each other. E-commerce, but that also means that with this such a great speed, there would
I'm facing issue.
Yeah, this e-commerce would be on a, like, you know, fantastic growth in e-commerce sector. So how it is going to be? Just to give you an example, when we talk to our friends, when we talk to each other on mobile phone, so we see the picture now, it is 2D picture. But holographic phones, after 5G, holographic phones, so let me tell you that within 2 years of time, we are to have e-commerce. E-commerce means now what we do. So we have we see the furniture. If I want to buy some sofa, so I will see it on the internet and then I will. But with this holographic images coming up, when you click on that 2D image, if you click on that, it would come out, you will feel that it is coming out of the screen and it would rotate itself. So you can get a very good feel about that. So now taking this again, now what we see that the models are wearing good clothes, good shoes, and then we see them. Now just imagine that you yourself are a model. They would take a photo of you, they would create a 3D image of yourself, and then that model, which would be you will be in the clothes on, you would be shown as if your color you want. That would be duplicated, and that would be very easy for even you to watch out on your laptop or your mobile. So those kind of because there would be a lot of speed of internet, so therefore this kind of a new technology related things would come up, and they are going to come up very fast. So if we are able to think about such kind of a futuristic, may not be futuristic because 2 years down the line we can't call it as a futuristic anyway. It's going to be very soon. So during this COVID period, we have to think about such kind of newer methods, little be creative, so that we get such kind of ideas where you know, everything is not lost. Therefore I said India is going to suffer for, let us say, 1 more year, but it would bounce back just like, and China would also bounce back. So just like it was in 2008, 2009, now both the countries bounce back at that time also, this year also, but there would be a global alignment now. And that is what I said, that many of the companies would like to shift from China. So this time, after an year or so, it would be India, which would be ahead of GDP than of China. That is what is my reading. So now it is 6:35. I'll take some of the questions and then thank you.
Harshdeep, I have a question. Harshdeep, Yogesh here.
Yes, Yogesh.
Post-COVID, India seems to have a lot of opportunities, boom and a boom. Okay.
Yes.
So I have a question. It is going to be an explosion, and if so, are we prepared for it? And if not, Do you have any plans to prepare for it?
Explosion for what?
Opportunities. These opportunities are.
Oh, yes. Yeah, we are almost prepared. We are almost prepared now. Government of India's policy would be announced very soon. And actually, we have already started taking webinars with different countries, ambassadors of different countries, then consulate generals of different countries, businessmen from different countries. We are sending emails to different big organizations who are into manufacturing and service sector. So, and most importantly, some of the Chinese companies, they have also approached us for setting up their plants in Maharashtra. So Great Wall Motors, which is the largest company of automobile, they are going to set up their plant near Pune.
Yeah. Good evening, sir. Abhijit here. Yeah. As you rightly, there is lot of halchal by Chinese companies in Maharashtra or in India. So how are we going to enter them? We are going to entertain other countries' manufacturing setups in India, but equally Chinese setups will be given that weightage.
Absolutely. For us, it is whether it is Chinese or some other company, doesn't matter. They have to have their manufacturing base here. If they have their manufacturing base here, what happens when these big units come? MSME sector develops itself. So when MSME sector develops, there is a lot of employment that is created. So yeah, so we are also, India also is kind of a consumer state, it's becoming a consumer country. So we also have requirements. So like when we are talking about electric vehicle, so China, electric vehicles in China are much cheaper than in India. So when they come here and manufacture here, it would be little cheaper because they have the technology, they have the manufacturing technology even for the electrical batteries. So that way it is going to help us. So we are, irrespective of our countries, anybody who comes here and manufactures, we are okay with that.
Harshdeep, this is
for you. Harshdeep.
Yes.
Harshdeep, Nagpur is coming in a big way. Is there any possibility of setting up a data center in Nagpur?
Yes, yeah, we are looking for Nagpur also because see, setting up of a data center also has one very unique point into it. All these big companies, you named Microsoft, you named Google, they want that for this data center, the power has to be green power. Okay, green power means let us say solar power or wind power. And this is solar power would be very, very well available in Nagpur. So we are trying to push some of the data center even to Nagpur area.
Oh, thank you very much.
Yes.
Harshdeep, this is Sachin on the line.
Yes.
Well, thank you very much for all this valuable information. I have a quick question for you.
Yes.
During all your presentation, I've been hearing that you have been talking about big cities, especially Mumbai. What does the government has planned? Does the government has plans for tier 2 cities, especially cities like Kolhapur, Sangli, Satara? What are the plans of the government for all during this?
Oh, by the way, when I say Mumbai, that means Maharashtra. So we have this separate. We have this very special policy which is available on our website also. We have we have maitri.mahaonline.gov.in. So this is our website, Maitri, maitri.mahaonline.gov.in. All our policies are placed on this web portal. So there you will find a policy about a new industrial policy for Maharashtra. What we have done, we have segregated Maharashtra into 4 zones. We call it as ABCD zones. So Mumbai, Pune comes into A zone. So if you are setting up your factory in A zone, you are not getting any financial incentives.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but if you are setting up your manufacturing unit in Aurangabad or in Kolhapur or in Nagpur, Amravati, then you get lot more benefits than what financial incentive you get in Pune and Mumbai. We are trying to discourage. But why I was talking about Mumbai and data center parks, because of its geographical advantage. The internet cables, internet C cables, they are in Navi Mumbai. Okay. For such kind of a sophisticated technology, So Mumbai, Pune is best, even for them also, even for us also. But for others, like
Understand.
we are concentrating more on Aurangabad. Steel plants also, we are concentrating more on Aurangabad.
Understand. So do you understand this cable thing you're saying about the cable ones?
Yeah.
So do you have any plans of going inside the rural areas also in the future? Because really the rural area has to come up basically for the whole country as a whole, to be mentioned as a developed country also.
Right. So now in rural areas, we can't expect that big industry would go there. Now there are some of the flaws for this, because if it is a big industry, there would be, their CEOs, their operational staff, managerial staff, they also like to have some kind of city life. So we have to understand this. So what we are targeting in rural areas is small industries, MSMEs. So that is what we are targeting at. And for MSME, now there was earlier a limit of 10 crore rupees. Like if your MSME was fixed capital investment, we call it as FCI. If the investment was around 10 crores, then you used to get a lot of benefits. But now I have specifically introduced one thing, that those MSMEs which have till 50 crores of investment, they would also get maximum of 100% of the benefits. 100% of benefit means whatever you have invested, we see to it that we have designed the scheme like this, that once you manufacture, you pay taxes, we return those taxes to you to the tune of 100%. So for small units, we have come out with this kind of a solution, which of course would be in rural area. Another thing is agro-processing units, which I was talking to about, we are already giving 120% financial benefits. So which would definitely come in rural areas. And then I have also come out with one very new policy, that is Chief Minister's Employment Generation Program. Now this is for whole of Maharashtra. I particularly thought about rural areas, and we are planning in next 5 years to give sanction to 1 lakh small units worth only 50 lakhs, not more than that. But this would be for our unemployed educated youth who want to set up their small units. Out of these 1 lakh units, 40% is reserved for rural area only. Yeah, so that is one big step which Maharashtra has taken, and it is one of the biggest schemes anywhere in India.
So, sir, I have one question.
I got one question.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sir, I am Shashikant from 1994 batch. Now you were speaking about that agro-processing units.
Yes.
Now we see the condition because of this COVID-19. These agro-processing units have been in big problem, because like countries like Ghana or Brazil or Ivory Coast, they were exporting around 99,000 metric tons Kaju to the China. But now this time the China is only imported around 10 to 20 metric ton of Kaju. And because of that, what has happened now, the rate of Kaju in the global market has gone down very, very low. And that is the reason why now India, we are getting a Kaju for 40 to 50 rupees, raw Kaju I'm speaking about, 40 to 50 rupees per kg. Now, what are you speaking about that rural development, like factories which are, or industries which are planning? Is it going to, is there in India going to take any action for this particular thing?
Yes, yeah, definitely we are going to take action. And I say that the government of India and also government of Maharashtra is coming out with a policy. Actually, my next meeting is about that only, for finalization of financial incentives for such kind of MSMEs who are into distress. Okay, so therefore I told that I have limited time, and we have to finalize today only and send it to the government. So there we will be looking at how do we support these MSMEs, how do we cover some kind of a loss which they have faced during this time. Can we give them their wage employments for 2-3 months of a time, or can we pay back their interest which they pay to the bank? So these kind of units, these kind of things we are working out, and possibly in next week's cabinet there will be a decision taken by government of Maharashtra also. In addition to whatever is given by government of India, we are specifically looking at MSME. Agriculture sector is one area where we are concentrating more, because we know that in India, particularly also in Maharashtra, it gives lot of employment. And then employment generation is one thing which we are definitely going to be proactive in.
Harshdeep, can I speak to
Any
you right
plan
now?
to
Dr.
decommission
Harshdeep.
Mumbai?
Yes.
Dr. Harshdeep.
Hello, sir.
Dr.
Any
Harshdeep, this
plan
is
to
Sanjay
decommission
Gupta.
Mumbai?
This,
Yeah, Sanjay Gupta. Yes, I can hear you.
yes, हेलो हाँ हाँ देखिए मैं आप सबको ये बताना चाहता हूं कि आप बहुत कुछ बताना चाहते हैं पर समय की कमतरता है और सब लोग बहुत कुछ पूछना चाहते हैं अगेन समय की कमतरता है तो क्यों ना हम और एक सेशन यानी रिक्वेस्ट करता हूं आपको सभी की ओर से कि एक सेशन और लिया जाए ताकि ये प्रॉब्लम जो है वो पूरा सॉल्व हो जाए
Yeah,
डॉक्टर हर्षदीप कैन आई स्पीक
Yes, please. With that, I'll take this last question.
Yeah, this is Vijay Limoy from Nagpur.
Yes, Vijay.
I would like to just bring in front of you a issue in what I am facing right now.
Yes.
See, there is a briquette manufacturing industry all over Maharashtra.
I know that.
Yeah, and the briquette industry is charged 5% GST by the government of India.
Yes.
Whereas the wood is not charged.
Okay. Yeah.
And it is a best replacement. Briquette is the best replacement for the wood in the industry
Yes.
right now.
Yes.
And briquettes are manufactured from agro waste. So because the government is charging 5% GST, whereas wood is not charged any GST on that, the people are preferring to use wood instead of briquettes. Is it not an irony?
Yes, very right. Yes, definitely it is.
So I would like
Definitely it
you to just put. I had written a letter to our finance minister at Delhi.
You can write down to. You can write to me. I will put it in a proper format.
I didn't get any reply from her.
They will not reply. Therefore, I said that it has to be in a proper format with the government's recommendation. So you send it to me on my WhatsApp. I'll see to it that. But this is very good point actually you have raised. It was not in. I didn't even think about this, but this is a very good point.
Yeah.
I'll certainly take it up, and I hope that we can meet next week.
We'll keep one more session. Others, please, we'll try and schedule the one more session of Harshdeep Kamble.
Right.
We'll give some guidelines to him, or maybe I will collect the questions.
Many more, please. Not only one. Couple of sessions.
Hello.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, doctor. Thank you, doctor.
Right. Thank
We
you.
need one more session for Harshdeep.
Okay.
It's
Thank
already
you.
been
Thank you so
planned.
much.
Don't worry.
Bye.
Thanks a lot. Very informative.